Aisha had always enjoyed the quiet moments when she could visit her stores without being noticed. Even though she was a successful CEO, owning a chain of high-end jewelry stores, she liked to see how things really ran on the ground. Today, the sun was shining brightly and there was a light breeze in the air. She had decided to visit one of her flagship stores to personally inspect a new line of rare diamonds. She wanted to ensure the designs were perfect and the presentation met the standards she had envisioned. She didn't bring her usual entourage. She wanted to experience the store like any other customer. But also, she wanted to see her staff's behavior firsthand. As she approached the entrance, she noticed the store manager, a man named Mr. Henderson. He was middle-aged, dressed in a neat suit, and had a polite smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. As Aisha stepped closer, he raised a hand and said in a firm but polite tone, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you need an appointment to enter the store." Aisha stopped in her tracks, taken aback. She smiled gently, trying to explain herself. "I am the owner of this store," she said, keeping her voice calm and even. "I'm here to inspect the new inventory." Mr. Henderson's expression didn't change. He tilted his head slightly and repeated, "I'm sorry, ma'am. No appointment, no entry." Aisha felt a mix of confusion and disbelief. How could someone refuse service to the owner of the store? She took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. The small crowd outside the store had started to notice the unusual exchange. Some people were whispering to each other, their curiosity evident. Aisha remained calm, but inside her mind was racing. She thought about the possible reasons for this behavior and the misunderstanding that must have occurred. She could feel her pulse quicken, but she refused to let frustration take over her composure. She looked around, noticing a few familiar faces among the shoppers. Some regular customers recognized her and gave her puzzled looks. Aisha gave them a polite nod, trying to reassure them without drawing too much attention. She wanted to resolve the situation quietly without causing a scene. She stepped back and decided to call her assistant. Her assistant picked up immediately and she explained the situation, her voice steady but firm. Her assistant was shocked and advised her to speak directly with the district supervisor. Aisha listened carefully, acknowledging the advice, but she wanted to see how the situation would unfold if she handled it herself first. A few moments later, Aisha tried again, approaching the store entrance with her CEO badge and official documents in hand. She wanted to make sure there was no room for misunderstanding. Mr. Henderson glanced at the badge briefly but continued to act as though it meant nothing. He gestured vaguely toward the entrance and said, "Please wait over there until someone can assist you." Aisha felt a twinge of disappointment. She had always believed in treating people with respect, and she expected the same courtesy in return. She realized that Mr. Henderson was following a rigid interpretation of rules without considering the larger context. She understood that sometimes people in authority positions could act without thinking about the consequences of their actions. The small crowd outside was still watching, their murmurs growing slightly louder. Some regular customers who knew Aisha approached her, concerned. "Are you okay?" one of them asked. Aisha smiled gently, trying to keep her emotions in check. "Everything is fine," she said. "It's just a small misunderstanding." She knew that sometimes explaining things calmly could prevent the situation from escalating. She decided to step aside for a moment and observe, watching the interactions between the staff and the other customers. She noticed subtle signs of discomfort among some employees who were aware of the earlier incident. There was a tension in the air that was hard to ignore. Aisha took a few steps back, thinking carefully about her next move. She had built her business from the ground up, and she knew the importance of leadership and presence. She realized that this situation was more than just a misunderstanding. It was an opportunity to assess how her team handled unexpected challenges. She thought about how she could use this moment to teach a lesson in respect, patience, and professionalism. She decided to wait a few minutes, observing the environment, before attempting to enter the store again. As she stood there, a few loyal customers approached her once more. They had been regulars for years and knew Aisha by sight. They expressed concern, but also admiration for her calm demeanor. "I can't believe he treated you like that," one said quietly. Aisha nodded, appreciating their support. She reassured them with a gentle smile. "It's okay," she said. "Sometimes people make mistakes. What matters is how we handle them." She understood that her reaction would not only affect the immediate situation, but also influence how her staff and customers perceived her. Leadership. Aisha's mind was focused, not on anger, but on strategy. She wanted to handle the situation in a way that was dignified, effective, and clear. She reminded herself that leadership was not just about authority, but about patience, observation, and action when necessary. She took a deep breath, stepped forward, and decided to approach the store manager one more time. This time, she intended to address the situation with clarity and calmness, ensuring that her presence and her role were respected without creating unnecessary conflict. Inside, the store was quiet, with only a few customers browsing the displays. Aisha noticed that the staff were attentive to their tasks but seemed uneasy. She understood that her visit had created a ripple of tension, and she wanted to observe how the team would react under pressure. She moved through the store slowly, examining the displays and noting small details that required attention. Despite the earlier incident, she maintained her focus on the purpose of her visit, ensuring the store met her high standards and that the new collection of diamonds was presented beautifully. Aisha's calm and composed demeanor did not go unnoticed. A few employees glanced at her with curiosity and respect, realizing that she was fully aware of the events outside. She made mental notes of how each staff member handled the situation, observing both their professionalism and their awareness. She wanted to gather information before addressing the incident directly, understanding that patience and observation were key elements of effective leadership. As she moved closer to the counter where Mr. Henderson was stationed, she felt a mix of emotions, disappointment, determination, and a quiet resolve. She was determined to handle the situation with grace, but also knew that accountability was essential. She understood that the upcoming conversation would set the tone for how the store operated and how her staff perceived her leadership. Aisha was ready to take the necessary steps, confident that she could turn a moment of tension into a learning experience for everyone involved. She knew that leadership was not about confrontation, but about setting clear expectations, modeling behavior, and making decisions that reinforced respect and integrity. Aisha stepped back from the entrance, her mind racing but her expression calm. She realized that yelling or forcing her way in would not help. Instead, she needed a thoughtful approach. She reached for her phone and called her assistant to explain the situation again. Her assistant listened in shock, clearly outraged that a store manager could act so rigidly toward the owner. After a few moments of discussing the plan, Aisha decided to speak directly with the district supervisor, but she also wanted to observe the interactions inside the store from outside for a little while. She noticed a few regular customers approaching, looking concerned. Some whispered quietly. Others just stared at the scene unfolding at the entrance. Aisha smiled gently at them, reassuring them that everything was under control. She had always believed that calmness could influence the atmosphere around her. While waiting for the supervisor to arrive, she reflected on her journey to becoming a CEO. She thought about the countless hours she had spent building her business from scratch, the sacrifices she had made, and the challenges she had overcome. Every store, every employee, every display had been a part of her vision. She understood that leadership was about more than rules. It was about understanding people, fostering respect, and setting an example. Today's incident was unexpected, but she was determined to turn it into a moment of teaching and clarity. A few minutes passed, and she noticed that some of the employees inside the store were beginning to look uneasy. They glanced at the entrance, then at each other, realizing that something unusual was happening. Aisha knew that they could sense the tension, even if they weren't fully aware of the details. She took a slow, deliberate breath and decided it was time to approach the store again, this time with her official badge and documents. She wanted to make sure there was no doubt about her identity and her role. Holding her badge firmly in hand, she stepped forward confidently, walking toward the entrance with a quiet determination that was hard to miss. Mr. Henderson glanced at her as she approached, and for a brief moment Aisha thought she saw a flicker of recognition. But it was gone immediately, replaced with a neutral expression. He gestured toward the side, indicating she should wait. Aisha paused, keeping her composure. She decided not to argue, knowing that a calm and firm approach would be more effective than confrontation. She took a moment to observe the crowd around her, noting their curiosity and concern. Some were regular customers who had shopped at the store for years, and they seemed surprised by the unusual situation. Aisha knew that her actions would set an example not only for her staff but also for the community that supported her business. She finally entered the store, moving slowly to survey the environment. The atmosphere was tense but quiet. A few employees pretended to focus on their tasks, while others watched her carefully. Aisha walked past the displays, examining the new line of diamonds, noticing the subtle details in the arrangement and the lighting. Despite the tension, she kept her attention on her primary goal, evaluating the quality of the display and the condition of the products. She wanted to maintain professionalism while also gathering information about how the staff was handling the situation. Aisha approached the counter where Mr. Henderson was standing, his hands folded in front of him. She held her badge in plain sight and said calmly, "I am the owner of this store and I am here to inspect the new collection. I would like your cooperation, please." Mr. Henderson nodded briefly, maintaining a neutral expression, but there was a slight stiffness in his posture. Aisha noticed this and understood that he was aware of the seriousness of the situation. She remained composed, knowing that her calm demeanor would influence the outcome more than force or anger. As she moved further into the store, she noticed subtle interactions between the staff members. Some whispered quietly to each other, while others glanced at her with curiosity and respect. Aisha realized that this was a critical moment for leadership observation. She took mental notes of each employee's behavior, noting who handled the tension well and who seemed uncomfortable. She knew that understanding these dynamics was crucial for maintaining a positive and professional work environment. Her focus was not on punishment at this point, but on assessing the overall culture and how it could be strengthened. A few minutes later, a loyal customer approached her cautiously. "Is everything okay?" the customer asked quietly. Aisha smiled and nodded. "Yes, everything is fine," she said. "Sometimes misunderstandings happen, but it's how we respond that matters." The customer nodded, seemingly reassured. Aisha appreciated their support, knowing that customer perception was as important as employee behavior. She wanted to demonstrate that respect and professionalism were integral to her leadership and the reputation of the store. Aisha moved to the side to make a quick phone call to the district supervisor. She explained the situation clearly and calmly, highlighting the importance of addressing the behavior of the store manager while maintaining professionalism. The supervisor was shocked and promised to arrive immediately. Aisha ended the call feeling a sense of relief. She knew that having support from higher management would reinforce the importance of accountability and respect within her team. While waiting, she took the time to engage with a few staff members individually. She asked them simple questions about their tasks and their observations of customer interactions. Her goal was to make them feel heard and valued, even in a tense situation. Aisha understood that leadership involved connecting with people, understanding their perspective, and guiding them toward positive outcomes. She wanted her team to feel confident and supported, knowing that mistakes could be corrected constructively and that respect was non-negotiable. When the district supervisor arrived, Aisha greeted them warmly, but firmly explained the incident in detail. She described how Mr. Henderson had refused her entry, disregarded her role, and acted without judgment. The supervisor listened attentively, visibly shocked by the manager's behavior. Aisha remained calm, focusing on facts and observations rather than letting emotion dictate her words. She emphasized the importance of leadership, respect, and accountability, making it clear that actions have consequences, especially in positions of authority. After speaking with the supervisor, Aisha returned her attention to the store. She noticed that Mr. Henderson seemed increasingly aware that his actions were being evaluated. There was a subtle tension in the air, but Aisha maintained her composure, walking through the store, observing employees, and ensuring that the displays and customer interactions met her standards. She knew that leadership required patience, observation, and the ability to act decisively when necessary. This situation was challenging, but she was determined to handle it in a way that would reinforce the culture and values of her business. Aisha realized that this moment was not only about correcting one individual's behavior, but also about setting an example for the entire team. She wanted her employees to understand that respect, professionalism, and judgment were essential qualities for everyone, regardless of position. She took a deep breath, feeling a sense of determination. Leadership was about influence, not force, and she was prepared to guide her team toward a positive and respectful work environment. The tension gradually began to ease as the staff realized that Aisha's presence was calm, measured, and purposeful. They observed her interactions with customers, her attention to detail and her focus on maintaining professionalism. A few employees began to feel reassured, understanding that leadership was about guidance, support, and accountability rather than fear or intimidation. Aisha walked through the store, nodding to staff members, offering encouragement and reinforcing the importance of dignity and respect in every interaction. The atmosphere, while still tense, began to shift toward a sense of awareness and attentiveness, setting the stage for the next steps in addressing the situation effectively. Aisha decided it was time to hold a brief meeting with the store staff. She asked everyone to gather in the back office, and they quietly complied, sensing the seriousness in her tone. The employees assembled, some fidgeting nervously while others watched her with curiosity and a hint of relief. They knew she was calm, but her presence carried authority. Aisha took a deep breath and began speaking slowly, making sure her words were clear and deliberate. She recounted what had happened at the entrance, emphasizing that it was not a personal attack but an issue of judgment and respect. She looked directly at Mr. Henderson, who shifted uneasily in his chair. "What happened today is a reminder that leadership is about making decisions that are fair and respectful," she said. "Rules are important, but understanding context and people is equally important. Every customer, every employee deserves respect." The room was silent, the weight of her words settling in. Aisha continued, explaining how the behavior outside had affected not only her but also the staff and customers. She wanted them to understand that the impact of actions often went beyond what they could immediately see. The employees listened intently, realizing that this conversation was not just about one incident, but about the culture of the store. Aisha spoke about accountability, leadership, and integrity, highlighting that those who hold positions of authority must always exercise judgment and empathy. She emphasized that following rigid rules without consideration for context could lead to serious consequences. Her voice remained calm, but each word carried the weight of experience and wisdom. Mr. Henderson attempted to explain himself, saying that he was only following the store policy. Aisha listened patiently, nodding occasionally, showing that she valued his perspective. But she then gently but firmly pointed out that leadership required more than just following procedures. It required understanding people, reading situations correctly, and acting in ways that upheld the dignity of everyone involved. She made it clear that his failure to recognize her and handle the situation appropriately was unacceptable. The employees absorbed her words, realizing that this was a moment of learning for everyone. She continued by sharing her personal philosophy on leadership. She spoke about the importance of empathy, the ability to see situations from different perspectives, and the responsibility of those in charge to guide others with fairness. She encouraged the staff to always consider the human element in every interaction. Her words were not a lecture, but a reflection of her own experiences and values. The room was quiet, but the atmosphere shifted subtly. Employees who had been tense and unsure now felt a sense of clarity and understanding. Aisha addressed the broader implications of the incident, explaining that customers' perceptions mattered as much as employees' actions. She highlighted that the reputation of the store depended on how people were treated, not just the quality of the products. By maintaining high standards of behavior and respect, the store could continue to grow and thrive. She made it clear that every staff member, regardless of position, had a role in creating a welcoming and professional environment. After speaking about leadership and respect, Aisha turned her attention to the specific actions that needed to be taken. She outlined steps for improving communication, ensuring that everyone understood the importance of context in decision-making, and creating a more inclusive and considerate approach to customer service. She asked for feedback from the staff, encouraging them to share their thoughts and experiences. Some employees spoke up hesitantly, sharing their observations about how Mr. Henderson's behavior had affected their confidence and interactions with customers. Aisha listened carefully, validating their feelings and taking note of their perspectives. She then addressed Mr. Henderson again, giving him the opportunity to respond and reflect on his actions. She asked him to consider how his choices impacted the store's culture, staff morale, and customer experience. He remained quiet for a moment, then admitted that he had not fully considered the human element and that he understood her point. Aisha acknowledged his admission, but emphasized that understanding was not enough. Actions must align with respect, empathy, and professionalism. The employees watched, understanding that accountability was a key part of leadership. Isha took a moment to reinforce the importance of consistency in behavior. She explained that one incident could create lasting impressions, both positive and negative. By consistently demonstrating respect, empathy, and sound judgment, the store could maintain a strong reputation and foster a positive environment for both employees and customers. Her words were clear, direct, and thoughtful, leaving little room for misunderstanding. The staff absorbed her message, understanding that leadership was not just a position, but a continuous practice. She moved on to discuss the practical aspects of implementing change. She spoke about revising procedures, training staff in customer relations, and creating a system where employees could ask for guidance when faced with uncertain situations. She emphasized that this was not about micromanagement, but about providing support and clarity to help everyone succeed. Employees began to nod, appreciating her approach and realizing that the guidance was meant to empower them rather than restrict them. Aisha also reminded the staff that mistakes were opportunities for growth. She explained that the way people responded to challenges and errors defined their character and the overall culture of the store. She encouraged openness, honest communication, and collaboration, stressing that the goal was to create a positive, respectful environment. The room felt lighter as the staff absorbed her words, understanding that the focus was on improvement rather than punishment. Finally, Aisha addressed the immediate issue of the store manager's behavior. She explained that while learning from mistakes was important, accountability was non-negotiable. She reiterated that leadership required judgment, empathy, and respect, and that failure to demonstrate these qualities had consequences. The employees listened intently, recognizing that this was a pivotal moment for the store and for the manager. Aisha's tone remained calm, measured, and professional, reinforcing the seriousness of the message without creating fear or resentment. By the end of the meeting, the staff had a clearer understanding of expectations, values, and the importance of leadership in every interaction. Aisha concluded by expressing her confidence in their ability to uphold these standards and to contribute to a positive, respectful, and professional environment. The employees left the meeting with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to apply what they had learned and to support each other in maintaining the store's reputation. Isha stayed for a few moments reflecting on the conversation. She knew that this was a critical turning point, not only for Mr. Henderson but for the entire team. Leadership was about more than titles. It was about actions, judgment, and the ability to inspire others to uphold shared values. She felt a quiet satisfaction knowing that she had addressed the issue thoughtfully, setting a clear example of accountability, respect, and professionalism. The store felt different now, charged with a sense of awareness, clarity, and possibility, preparing the way for the next steps in resolving the situation fully and effectively. After concluding the meeting with the staff, Aisha felt a quiet resolve settle within her. She knew the situation needed decisive action, not just words. She asked Mr. Henderson to step aside for a private conversation, and he followed reluctantly, the weight of the earlier discussion evident on his face. Aisha remained calm but firm, knowing that how she approached this moment would set the tone for the entire store. She began by acknowledging his long service and dedication to the company. She explained that she valued experience and commitment, but leadership was about more than tenure. Leadership requires judgment, empathy, and the ability to adapt to situations, she said, her voice steady and clear. Today your actions did not meet those standards. Refusing entry to the owner of the store is not just a mistake. It is a failure in leadership and judgment. Mr. Henderson listened quietly, occasionally nodding, though his discomfort was clear. Aisha continued, ensuring that he understood the gravity of the situation without making the conversation about personal attack. She explained that leadership is a responsibility that affects not only the individual, but the team, the customers, and the culture of the entire store. She spoke about accountability and how every decision, especially in positions of authority, has consequences. Mr. Henderson remained silent, understanding that this was not just about a policy violation, but about the broader implications of his behavior. Aisha's tone was calm yet unwavering, emphasizing that professionalism and respect could not be compromised. After carefully laying out her reasoning, Aisha informed Mr. Henderson that effective immediately, he would no longer serve as the store manager. The room seemed to hold its breath as the words sank in. Some staff members had quietly followed the conversation from the doorway, and they exchanged glances. Understanding the seriousness of the decision, Aisha reassured them, explaining that the action was about accountability and the standards of leadership, not personal vendetta. She emphasized that the goal was to foster a culture of respect, professionalism, and integrity. Once the decision was communicated, Aisha focused on the transition. She explained to the remaining staff how she planned to appoint a new manager who shared the company's values and could lead with fairness and empathy. She wanted to ensure continuity and stability, so the staff felt supported and confident in the leadership of the store. She reassured them that changes would be made thoughtfully and that their feedback would be valued throughout the process. She personally walked through the store, checking in with each employee. She asked about their tasks, their experiences during the day, and their thoughts on the current environment. Many employees expressed relief and gratitude, acknowledging that the manager's earlier actions had created tension and uncertainty. Aisha listened patiently, validating their feelings and encouraging them to continue providing excellent service. Her attention to detail and genuine concern reinforced her presence as a leader who was both approachable and authoritative. Aisha also took time to engage with the customers who were present, ensuring they felt welcomed and valued. She smiled, answered questions, and offered assistance, demonstrating the kind of service she expected from all her staff. Her interactions were warm yet professional, and the customers responded positively, showing appreciation for her involvement and attention. This moment allowed her to reinforce the importance of customer experience as a central part of the store's success. Throughout the day, Aisha observed the subtle shifts in the staff's behavior. Employees who had been hesitant or unsure earlier began to act with more confidence and professionalism. She recognized the power of leading by example, demonstrating that respect, empathy, and accountability were not just abstract concepts but practical standards that guided daily actions. The atmosphere of the store began to shift, becoming more focused, positive, and collaborative. As the afternoon progressed, Aisha called a brief team meeting to discuss plans for the future. She outlined her vision for the store, emphasizing a culture of inclusion, professionalism, and respect. She described new protocols for handling challenging situations, including clear communication channels, guidance for decision-making, and ongoing support from leadership. Employees were encouraged to ask questions, provide feedback, and share ideas. Aisha's approach was collaborative, ensuring that the team felt empowered to contribute to the store's success. She also introduced the idea of regular training sessions focused on leadership, customer service, and interpersonal skills. These sessions would provide practical tools for employees to navigate difficult situations and make informed, respectful decisions. Aisha emphasized that mistakes were opportunities for growth and learning, and that the goal was to build a strong, resilient team that could uphold the store's values consistently. Employees responded positively, appreciating the proactive approach and clear expectations. In the midst of these efforts, Aisha addressed the importance of communication. She explained that transparency, honesty, and clarity were essential for maintaining trust within the team and with customers. She encouraged employees to voice concerns, seek guidance, and collaborate on solutions. By fostering an environment of open communication, she aimed to prevent misunderstandings and ensure that everyone felt supported in their roles. The staff nodded, recognizing the significance of her guidance and the clarity it provided. Aisha took a moment to reflect privately, considering the lessons of the day. She realized that leadership was not just about making decisions in the moment, but about creating a culture that consistently reinforced respect, accountability, and professionalism. She felt a deep sense of responsibility to her employees, customers, and the broader community that supported her business. This moment, while challenging, reinforced her commitment to leading with integrity and empathy. As the day came to a close, Aisha reviewed the plan for appointing the new manager. She identified potential candidates who had demonstrated leadership qualities, respect for others, and a strong understanding of the store's values. She considered each individual carefully, ensuring that the choice would strengthen the team and foster a positive professional environment. She also planned to provide mentorship and support to the new manager, guiding them to succeed in their role and reinforce the culture she envisioned. By the end of the day, the store had a renewed sense of purpose. Employees were more focused, customers were satisfied, and the team understood the importance of leadership, respect, and accountability. Aisha felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that her decisive action had not only addressed the immediate issue, but had also set a clear example for the future. She walked through the store one final time, observing the energy and engagement of her staff. The atmosphere was transformed, charged with professionalism, awareness, and a shared commitment to excellence. Aisha left the store with confidence, knowing that the steps she had taken would have a lasting impact. She had addressed the problem decisively, supported her staff, and reinforced the culture she wanted to maintain. The day had been challenging, but it was also a testament to the power of calm, thoughtful leadership and the importance of acting with integrity and empathy. She was ready to continue building her team, her stores, and her vision for a respectful, professional, and thriving business environment. In the days following the incident, Aisha focused on ensuring that the store operated smoothly under new leadership. She had selected a new manager who shared her values and vision for a respectful, professional environment. The new manager was introduced to the staff with clear expectations about leadership, customer service, and accountability. Aisha emphasized that everyone's role was important and that collaboration and communication would be central to the store's success. The staff responded positively, recognizing that the change was meant to create a stronger and more cohesive team. Aisha personally oversaw the transition, spending time with the new manager to guide them in understanding the store's culture, the expectations of leadership, and the importance of fostering an environment of respect and professionalism. She also made herself available to employees, encouraging them to share concerns, ideas, and feedback. This open communication helped staff feel valued and supported, reinforcing trust and commitment within the team. She also implemented new training programs for all employees, focusing on leadership, customer relations, and situational judgment. These sessions included role-playing exercises, discussions about ethical decision-making, and practical guidance for handling difficult situations with grace and professionalism. Aisha wanted to ensure that every employee, regardless of role, had the tools and understanding to make thoughtful, respectful decisions in their day-to-day work. Throughout the week, Aisha observed the interactions between staff and customers closely. She noticed subtle improvements in how employees handled inquiries, approached clients, and responded to unexpected challenges. The energy in the store shifted, with staff acting with confidence and professionalism, demonstrating the impact of clear expectations and strong leadership. Aisha felt satisfied, knowing that her decisions were positively influencing the store's culture and customer experience. Word of the incident and Aisha's decisive handling of it spread quietly among regular customers. Many expressed admiration for the way she managed the situation, noting her calmness, fairness, and focus on professionalism. Aisha realized that moments like these could serve as opportunities to demonstrate the values she wanted her brand to represent: integrity, respect, and empowerment. She understood that leadership was not only about authority, but also about setting an example for others to follow. As the new manager settled into their role, Aisha continued to mentor them, offering advice on managing staff, making informed decisions, and balancing authority with empathy. She emphasized the importance of consistency in leadership, reminding them that actions often spoke louder than words. By guiding the new manager through practical scenarios and sharing her experience, she ensured that the store would continue to thrive under competent, respectful leadership. Aisha also took time to engage directly with customers, asking for feedback and listening to their experiences. She emphasized that customer satisfaction was central to the store's success, and that every staff member had a role in ensuring that clients felt valued and respected. Her personal involvement reinforced the culture of professionalism and care that she wanted to cultivate. Customers responded positively, appreciating the attention and the sense of genuine engagement. Over the following weeks, the store experienced a noticeable shift in atmosphere. Staff were more confident, customers were more satisfied, and the team's interactions reflected the culture of respect and professionalism that Aisha had worked to establish. Employees who had once been hesitant or uncertain now demonstrated initiative, clear judgment, and empathy in their work. The store's reputation grew, not just for the quality of its products, but for the quality of its service and leadership. Aisha reflected on the lessons of the incident, recognizing that challenges often provided opportunities for growth, learning, and improvement. She saw that accountability, clarity, and consistent leadership were essential for fostering a positive work environment. She understood that leading by example, addressing issues decisively, and supporting her team were key to maintaining the values she wanted to instill. The incident, while difficult, had ultimately strengthened the store and the people within it. She continued to meet regularly with her staff, reinforcing expectations, celebrating successes, and addressing any concerns promptly. Aisha encouraged ongoing feedback, ensuring that employees felt heard and valued. She also maintained an open-door policy for the new manager, providing guidance, support, and mentorship to help them navigate their responsibilities effectively. These efforts created a strong foundation for continued growth and a culture of respect and accountability. Aisha also used the experience as an opportunity to review company-wide policies and procedures. She made updates to ensure that situations like the one with Mr. Henderson would be handled with clarity, respect, and fairness in the future. Training modules were revised, communication protocols were strengthened, and leadership expectations were clearly defined. She wanted to ensure that all employees at every level understood the importance of their role in maintaining a professional and respectful environment. The story of the incident and its resolution became a quiet source of pride within the company. Employees saw firsthand the importance of accountability, empathy, and leadership. Customers observed the commitment to service and respect, reinforcing their trust in the brand. Aisha recognized that the true measure of success was not just in the products sold, but in the culture created, the respect maintained, and the values upheld. As time passed, the store flourished under the guidance of the new manager and the strengthened team. Employees collaborated effectively, supported each other, and consistently demonstrated professionalism and empathy. Customers continued to respond positively, enjoying not only the high-quality products but also the attentive, respectful service. Aisha knew that the lessons learned from the incident had created a more resilient, capable, and empowered team. In the end, Aisha reflected on the experience with a sense of fulfillment. The incident had been challenging, but it had provided an opportunity to reinforce the values she believed in and to strengthen the foundation of her business. Leadership, she realized, was not just about authority or decision-making. It was about guiding, supporting, and inspiring others to uphold standards of respect, integrity, and professionalism. The store now thrived as a reflection of those values, and Aisha's decisive, thoughtful actions had left a lasting impact on her team, her customers, and her company.